Alright guys, so after coming back from the Smite 2 Alpha Weekend 4, they had added Ares and Susano to the game, so we got to playing those two guys. They didn't really make any changes to the maps. I think we didn't have Arena in Weekend 3. So in Weekend 4, we have the Arena. I played in Arena, and it was alright, it was good, it looks like Arena. It looks bigger, and that's just it. I mean, yeah, it's Arena. It's really nothing's that different. The graphics just look a little bit updated from Smite 1. So, Susano, how does he feel? Well, he feels just as crappy as the freaking previous game, Smite 1. The thing I cannot stand with Susano's character is that he's a character that can either feel really overtuned, he does a bunch of damage, or you can feel like he does absolutely no damage. You utilize your abilities, and it's like you're tickling your enemy. And by the way, before you forget, with these kind of games, MOBAs, just remember, when your enemy can two-shot you and get a kill and 2 or 3 shots on you, and then it takes you like 7 or 8 hits on an enemy to get a kill, remember that you're bad at the game. Remember that you're bad at the game when it's really difficult to get a kill in more time than your enemy, whoever they are, and their character. And remember this, you're a really good player when you can freaking nuke enemy players. Yeah, when you're playing with a really overpowered character, with a really overpowered build on that overpowered character, just you remember, you're a really good player if you can utilize the game to your advantage and basically one-shot everybody because you're doing something that effectively no other character in the game was designed to do. Anyways, so yeah, they added Susano, and Susano really wasn't that impressive. I wasn't too happy with him. I mean, he's okay. He's Susano. I was playing him and I was like, this guy's doing no damage. I don't know. There are some players that I think can kind of do damage with him, but I don't know. I wasn't too impressed. Then we have Ares, and they made a couple of changes to Ares, really with just his passive. And I think it was one of his other abilities. I think it was his 2. Yeah, they changed his 2. It offers protections instead of CDR and something else. I think it's HP regeneration in Smite 1. So they made a couple of changes to Ares. He feels the same. The characters feel smoother than in the first game, as I've been saying. I don't know if they're smooth on PC, don't give a crap. On console, they're just not smooth on Smite 1. So they're smooth in this game. And something that I was thinking to myself, you know, they didn't make any changes with the map. And I'm hoping that the game feels just as alive on the map as it does and lived in just as it does in Smite 1. Because one of the things I really like about Smite 1 is that the map feels really dynamic, alive, going places, doing the objectives. There's just this, it makes sense to you, and there's this kind of conceptual idea, conceptual map in your head that where I go and where I move through in the world and the level, or let's say the map of the Smite Conquest map specifically. Even Arena though, let's just face it, pretty much any map though, but let's just say Conquest for the sake of it, that's the main game mode. It just feels like there's a conceptual idea that's very firm and well grasped. As you're playing the game, you know where you're going, you know what objectives matter more than others. A lot of it makes a lot of sense. I'm sure for a new player, it's really overwhelming, but you know, there's always something to do on the map, and all of it has a reasonable placement to each other. When we look at a game like Smite 2, I just don't know so far. I'm just gonna say what I'm thinking right now, and maybe that's going to change. The map feels a little bit more bland, and it feels a little bit like it's soulless. There's not a whole lot going on. There's not a whole lot to really do. The things that you can do, it doesn't feel like there's impact or that there's some kind of importance behind what you're doing. It's really strange. Like clearing a camp, for some reason, doesn't seem to matter that much. I don't know why I think that. It's really strange, but I have a different way of looking at the map for Smite 2. So I'm not entirely certain what's going on there, but it does feel more soulless. doesn't feel as lived in, and I'm hoping that changes for the better. I'm hoping that there's a lot more that's added. I like the things that's in the game, but there's just something that's missing to Smite 2. And then the other thing is the items. There's something about the items that don't really click with me as much as in Smite 1 so far. So it's really strange. I have no idea why I'm thinking these things, and I've been trying to hold back on saying it, but I'm just finally going to say it. This is what I'm thinking right now on Smite 2. Again, Ares, he feels alright. Oh, but you know what? Here's another thing that's really pissing me off, is that there's clearly characters that just outdamage each other, outdamage other characters. There's characters that clearly they get a one-shot. I mean, if I'm playing, for instance, as Ares and I go up against a Zeus is going to nuke me every freaking time I fight him. Effectively, there's really no good way of fighting Zeus if you're playing as Ares. And there's a bunch of other characters. If you play them against a good number of other characters, especially the popular ones, those characters just lose. It doesn't matter what build you do, doesn't matter how much damage you want to believe you do, it doesn't even matter your protections. They don't matter either. So the idea behind your builds and the characters that you choose really dependent on a lot of other factors as to how much you enjoy playing Smite. And this is true about Smite 1, but like even more so is that true with Smite 2. With Smite 2, now the game is very smooth. Frick, man, so buttery effing smooth. It's like my freaking wife's vajayjay. It's crazy. It slips and slides everywhere. It's like water and sand. It gets everywhere. But that's the thing, though, with this game is I can't really tell what the frick a different character is good for, because when I play the different characters, I don't get any good sense out of them. They get outdamaged so massively. So like, what the frick is going on? How am I supposed to play this character? I'm not really pleased with it. And then it gets you questioning, well, why was the character made? It's like this is a funsies character. Oh, it was made just so that you can have a gaff. But I'm not enjoying the character that I'm playing. It's not a very good character, and it gets nuked by the majority of the other better characters. So it's like, well, why did they make it? Why is it an option for me to choose? And if I do choose that character, I'm gonna have a terrible time playing the game. And that's the thing, I don't wanna play Fenrir every single match. Yeah, I wanna play him sometimes. Same thing with Thanatos. I don't wanna play him all the time. But effectively, whenever a character is really good, they cancel out all the terrible characters that don't work with the items, and they don't work just through their builds alone. I don't understand it. So what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to enjoy the game? Right? Like, I want to play as this character, that character, but I know it's probably not going to be a good time. So again, it's false choice, it's fake choice, and that's the issue with trying to balance a game, absolutely. But it's just very strange that certain characters, they clearly get one-shot kills on enemies, and then there's other characters, I don't know, they have a hard time. They can't even get a kill after 8 hits, or like, let's say you use your full kit on an enemy like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, your entire kit. So you're waiting for cooldowns, you're not going to get a kill. And that's the issue here, is that there's certain characters, one set of cooldowns, they get a kill. And that's what we're talking about here. It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. It's very frustrating. And it just makes it to where you question the game. You're like, how am I supposed to have fun with this? Outside of that, though, I enjoy Conquest for what it is. I'm hoping that when the game is nearing release, it's a lot more enjoyable. There's just something about the game that's not clicking for me, and I got really pissed off. You know, there's this other issue, and that's pre-mades. Pre-mades suck, freaking Onyx, bro. I can't freaking stand pre-mades. Pre-mades are broken. People teaming up with each other. Whenever you're going up against pre-mades, and on your team there's clearly really retarded teammates who have no idea what the frick they're doing, they're just brain dead, and you're like, okay, why am I here with you? And I'm playing up against a pre-made that's squishing us. I mean, I'm getting dove by 3 players in solo lane, while my teammates, they don't do anything, and they're feeding out their lanes, and people are not teaming up for objectives. I was saying this in one of the previous impression videos. But this issue, the last time I picked up this game, I was getting really angry. I was like, during the weekend 4, me playing it, and I was like, okay, this is not working. There's something wrong with the way that they've designed the game. Obviously, there's some characters that are wickedly overpowered. Obviously, having a pre-made is just super intensely overpowered as well, because everyone's got this coordination, and typically, right, you're selecting who the frick you want to play with, and that typically is working in your favor. Some reason the algorithm, the matchmaker algorithm, chooses to put really bad players on your team, which makes no sense, but they do it anyways. They do it many times. It happens in Smite 1. But how am I supposed to enjoy a game when I'm being dove by mid, jungle, solo, and even support in my lane? There's nobody on my team helping me out. They're not on top of it. Clearly, there's a difference in teammates here and players. Clearly, the coordination reveals who these players are. How are you supposed to enjoy the game? How are you supposed to want to continue playing? And that's the freaking fact. I was saying this when I was playing Predecessors, which is a game that used to be called Paragon back in 2016. That game got discontinued in 2018, and then they came out with it again. They decided to finish its development, and the guy that was working on Paragon, he ended up being an advisor to Predecessor. So I played that game recently, and it's just the reality. When you play up against these pre-mades, and there's a bunch of other games, the same thing happens, that I would apply this, what I'm about to say to. It's just so clear that when you play up against pre-mades, it's like, okay, for players that want to play randos, they don't want to do pre-mades. I don't want to make a pre-made. I'm not interested in doing a pre-made. Sometimes I am, most of the time I'm not. So I want to play a game without a pre-made. I don't want to play against them. This is the issue with these multiplayer games. There needs to be an option that you can turn off pre-mades. I just want to play against randos. Yes, I would like to have that option. Yes, I would like to cancel out all of the pre-mades on my team or other teams. I don't want to do it. I'm not interested. It needs to be an option. In ranked, there should be no option for freaking pre-mades, bro. Going into a freaking ranked match with a friend, it's just so ridiculous. I can't stand this trash. It's annoying. So anyway, those are my thoughts about the Smite 2 Alpha Weekend 4. I couldn't take it anymore, man. Whatever it is with pre-mades and whatever it is with overpowered characters, it just gets you to the point where you're frustrated with the game. You don't want to play it anymore. And that's where I got. I don't know if I'm really excited for Smite 2 coming out right now at the present moment. Again, we're going to be picking it up as a continued development. It's just that for me, it's these factors that makes me say, you know what, I might just quit the game and not bother continuing my time with it.